Welcome, my friends. I'm Andrea, and today I am wearing one of my cosplay costumes because today we are learning how to make a cape. Now, this cape that you see here, it's actually a cloak because it has a hood on it too, is 6 beautiful yards of fabric. But sometimes in the hotter weather, when you have our cosplays going on and Renaissance fair and all those things where you need a cape, 6 yards of fabric is hot. And it can be kind of cumbersome too. With some of my clients, we've come up with a better solution. So while this is 6 yards of expensive full fabric, today we are going to be making a much smaller, easier, cooler version with only 2 yards of fabric and a fur collar. So come with me over here and I'm going to show you how to get it done. On the table here, I have 2 yards of fabric. I have my outer layer, which is going to be blue, and I have my lining layer, which is going to be this gold yellowy color right here. And you literally just need a yard of fabric. You unfold it, and voila, you've got two sides of your fabric right here. For your outer layer and your inner layer. And sometimes one of your layers of fabric is going to be a little bit wider or longer than the other. So you basically want to make sure that all the layers are the right side. So if I was to take my scissors and cut off my extra yellow, like so, I'm going to set that aside, and I'm ready to sew my 2 pieces of fabric together right here. I've already done 2 of my 3 sides. We're going to sew it together like a pillowcase. This is going to be our top here. I've sewn down the side here, across the bottom, and today we're going to sew up this one side. And this I have chosen, it is velour, and velour is like baby velvet, and it is just as fussy as regular velvet because it wants to slip and slide and go everywhere. But we don't want it to. So we're going to help it through the machine a little bit. So you can see that's velour right there. It'll slip inside a little bit. Okay, so I want to show you over here on this little corner. I've already done this one. I sewed this corner straight down like this. I folded this side over, and then I stitched this bottom. And I'm going to show you how to get a perfect point right there. When we go to flip it, we fold it under like this. And then when we flip it around the other end, we are going to have a perfect point right like that. So to continue on with this side right here, I've sewn it across right here. I'm going to flip it up. You see my stitching right there? And now we're going to go over to the machine. Are you ready? And I've already put the pins in my machine. Now, my friends, I have never sewn in platform shoes before, so we're going to do this together, okay? Got my machine set up here with my navy blue thread. Now, because you don't need a pattern for this, and I'm going to save on my fabric, I'm just going to make my seam the width of my foot right here. I'm going to put it in, and we will stitch down this way. I have it set up for, I see. It was set up for a knot. Okay. I've got my end started right here, okay? But because it is fussy fabric, I'm not pulling the fabric through. I am letting the feet pull the fabric in. I'm just holding the stitch line because it is such fussy fabric and it wants to slide everywhere. And pucker. And you need to fuss with your fabric. Make sure that you're moving your fabric around as you go. See, it's starting to move a little bit on us. Okay, we're going to work with it here. There we go. And out it comes. The gloriousness of making a cape as well is that you can hide any little weird things that happen as you're going, because you are kind of making it up as you go. There are so many cool things that you can do with this. Next week, we'll be embellishing our capes, so you don't want to miss that one either. This is a very exciting part of the cape making by sewing this lovely seam right here. Okay, I'm using my nails to move the top layer of my fabric without moving the bottom layer of my fabric. I found that that helps to move my top layer without disturbing the bottom layer. There we go. Move it a little faster there. Like I said, I've never sewn in not stilettos, but platform shoes before. So it's an adventure for both of us. We're almost there. Coming down this way. Almost there. You can see our fabric wants to start moving on us a little bit away from that side seam there. Move and fuss, move and fuss. Okay. Almost there. Okay. And I have set up my machine to knot and tie off at the same time, which is amazing. It's such a time saver. Okay, then I usually like to go down my my seam and give it a little tug down like that. You can see this corner has been tucked in like so. I'm going to take my little scissors here, give it a little trim. We're not going to turn it quite yet, because before we go on to the next move or the next step, we're going to leave this open because we need to do our collar, our full collar, because we want to make sure that it's all tucked in and there's no raw edges hanging out. That's my preference. Okay, so I have a little sample here. I found this retro old circa 1999 pattern at the garage sale for 50 cents. Isn't that awesome? So how I made my collar is I took the top part of the pattern for the cape itself, and I took it down, about 6 inches or so. You can see this is the actual pattern for the neckline on the back here, and the actual shoulder seam for the cape in the back. And then I just, I folded it in half to get a nice even, edge there on both sides. And I just kind of hand drew it out, how I thought it would look nice for a collar. And in the front here, you can see is about the same thing. Right here, I just made it straight off. Now, the reason why you can see this goes over the edge a little bit is because when you sew down here, where it ends, when you stop stitching right here, is where the two sides meet up, right there. Okay, so I made little marks here, where I can start, where I can match up the back seam and the front seam here. Okay, and then I just cut it straight off. And when you're cutting things out of your fur, you want to make sure that you Well, this fur is not directional. Let me show you this one. This one is directional. You can see how the fur is going down this way. And you want to make sure that you cut the back and the front with the fur going down, like so. So I've already cut this little guy out here. And when you cut out your front pieces, you need to make sure, I've written on my little piece right here, opposites. So you need one here and flip it over right there. Okay, the trick to cutting fur and not making a huge mess everywhere is how you cut it out. Now you can see that I have placed my pattern piece a little ways away from the edge because you don't want any of the cut stuff down here to come out. See how the fur sticks out over the edge like this, and it looks fun and nice and not cut off? I'm going to show you how to get that. You're going to have a little pair of tiny scissors like this, and I'm going to sneak it underneath, not any of the fur. I'm not cutting any of that. I'm just cutting the actual underneath supportive fabric itself. Right like this. We're coming past our little markings right there. And I just marked my pattern with a Sharpie marker because you're not going to be seeing it anywhere around here. And you can see that I've marked it here as well. It's not going to show at all because that's all going to be underneath your cape. And you can see as I pull the fabric, the fur away, there's no excessive stuff because I haven't cut the fur itself. I just cut the backing and it just slides apart from each other, right like that. Okay, you get the idea of how to cut the fur out. So I'm going to set this guy aside and save that for another cape. But this is the collar that I want to put on our blue and gold fabric here because this is going to be, surprise, a Wonder Woman cape, right? And I thought it'd be really cool to have a white collar on this cape right here. Okay. I've sewn one side on, and now I need to sew on my other one. So I am going to take my little scissors here and change my thread because we want white underneath there. Now I absolutely love how easy it is to drop in your thread. It is so, so easy. And when I put mine in, I make sure that it says FOF on the top and that my tail is, I can hold it with my right hand. This FOF on the top, I hold my tail with my right hand, drop it in. Okay, you always know that your thread is going the right way. You're going to hook it around all of its little spots that it needs to go in and click it in, just like that. And I've got this creamy thread half hooked up here, around here. And I'm really hoping that this lovely little machine is going to behave on camera because like 1 out of 3 times it would thread for me. So let's cross our fingers. Let's see if it'll work. Everybody cross their fingers. Is it going to thread for me today? Oh, we're going to try it one more time. That's one. Oh, did it on the second try today. Woohoo! Thank you, machine. Okay. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to sew our fur together. Now I'm going to find the little markings that I made. Got mine. It is going to shed a little bit, so we're going to put some of that over there. The shedding of the fur. I've got my 2 little marks here. I've got my 2 little marks here. And I'm pushing the fabric away from that edge. And I'm going to use my little Wonder clips. These are fabulous. I'm going to clip my little edges together. This is going to help keep the fur out of those seams as well and get a really nice clean look. Okay. All right, I'm not going to put one in there because we're going to start sewing on that side. How about that? I'm going to slide this right underneath there. I'm just going to do it that length away, the same length as the foot of my machine here. Push my little button and it's going to knot it and cut it for me, which is brilliant. I love it. Okay. And you've got your seam right there. We're going to turn it over. Because I've got some nice long nails, I'm just going to kind of brush out any excessive stuff out of the seam right there. Maybe down towards the bottom. If you don't have long nails, then you can also use like a seam ripper to help kind of pull out any little fur particles that have gotten stuffed in the seam. But just like that, we now have our cool collar. Ta-da! Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to bring over our cape. All right, and at this part in your creation process, you can try it on and see if it's going to be the right length or not for you. There are a few different lengths that my customers have really liked. Now, because you can see that we've got this chain on here, it can go really long. It can go longer. It's not going to come up over your shoulders like this, like you're wearing a towel or something. It's going to hang about right there. So you can see that this one is going to hit me about ankle length. Mid-calf and mid-quad are the most popular lengths that people have liked. So this is going to be a good length for me, I think, especially with my heels on. So I'm just going to keep it, but at this length, you can cut it from the top off if you want to shorten it. Okay, let's keep going. Now the part, oh, you know what? Before we do anything else, I'm going to put my ends together right here. That one's a little off. That's okay. This is a make it up as you go kind of project, right? Okay, so I folded it in half and I've got my two ends right here. I'm going to take those little scissors again, wherever they may be. They're right here. My little helper scissors. I'm going to take a little notch off like that. And I now have a little V right there, pointing right where the center of my fabric is. A little V. And there's my center of my fabric. And I'm also going to do the same thing to my fur collar right here. I'm just going to line up those two edges right there. And I'm going to make a little V. Just like that. And there's the center of my collar as well. Now it's going to make things even easier to put together. I've got lots of little extra helper threads. Okay, so you're going to place your collar on the outside of your fabric, just like it's going to look when you're done. So this is my outside fabric. I want my collar to be right on the outside, right like this. Okay, I'm matching up those V's right there. And I'm going to bring in this V as well. V, V, V. Matching up those middle dots right there. I'm going to start using some of my pins here. A little random assortment of pins. That'll get the job done. Oh, you know what I forgot to do before we do that? Hold on. I'm going to take one step back. Because I don't like raw edges like this on the outside. That's not very pretty. So what I'm going to do is we're going to fold this over. You see this little line that I drew right there? We're going to fold it over about that much. Just like so. We're going to put it under here. We're just going to stitch this down. Oh, went a little far. Hold on. Reverse. There we go. I hate it when I don't press the button enough. And it just keeps going. We got her done, right? Okay. We've got one side. We're going to do that with the other side. Now, I don't like to go against my fur up like that. It just does weird things when you do that. So I'm going to just finger press it and hold it and flip it right like that. I can still feel underneath all this that it's only about that wide. And I can feel the edge with my finger right here, so I know that I'm still going over my fabric. I'm just barely catching that edge. There's the end right there. I can feel it through the fabric. All right. So now is the time where you can also fluff that fabric out of that seam. All right. Easy peasy enough, right? And like petting a cat backwards or something. They don't like it too much, do they? All right, smooth that back down. And voila, we've got some nice turned edges right there. Oh, and now I've got it all over my, hold on. We'll defurify our fabric a little bit. One thing I do suggest that you have along with you, if you're working with fur, is one of those lint rollers. Those will really help out a lot too. Okay, so we're gonna try that again. Gonna put some of my sheddings in there. Okay, line up our V, line up our V, line up our V. All three V's are lined up like so. I'm gonna grab a pin, set that in place right there. I'm gonna go to one end, all the way to this end. And I wish I'd remembered to bring my bigger scissors with me. I'm just gonna cut this off at an angle, at a little wedge, so it keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller until it comes off. See, I've got my little wedge now. It will all be nice and even. I do like to make sure that the backing is just a wee bit over the front. And you'll see why when we get to flipping it all totally around. I'm going to tack this down and I'm going to go in a little bit. I'm going to calm that fur down, calm it down like that. Going about that much. Oh, found the machine. And I'm going to tack that down there. We're going to move over to this side. I'm going to do the same on this side. We've tucked it in just a wee bit there. I'm going to fold that down. Okay. I'm going to tack this down right there. And this one down right here. Hold on. Does it feel like what? I want to make sure that my fabrics are laying nice and flat on both sides. And it's tricky because our cape is flat, but our neckline is curved. So we're going to be kind of battling against those two different shapes with each other. I'm going to trim off some of these. These are kind of annoying before we go much further. Better to trim it off now than have to trim it out of our seams later, right? Okay. I could have serged this. I probably should have. Okay, so these sides are way bigger than the other ones. All right, what we need to also do is we need to plan out, oh, that's about 2 inches, I'd say. 2 inches from this side. I'm also going to put a pin here. And about 2 inches from this side, I'm going to pin the front and the back. Like this. Okay, and you see this spot on the inside, we are going to stop sewing here, leave this gap, and start sewing here. But what do we do with all of this? This is where we are going to, we're going to make some pleats. So I just do a finger pleat about here. I fold it about the length of my thumb. It's very technical, let me tell you. But once again, all of these pleats and things are going to be underneath that fur collar. I'm going to take a pin and pin down that end of the pleat. And I'll take a pin and tack down that part of the pleat. And I'm going to start where I left off, about right there. I'm going to make one more pleat, about right there. Oh, see, that's where it ended. I'm going to tack that one down there. Tack this one down here. And then I'm going to replicate it on this side with my finger on this side. Okay, it ended about right here. Right there and there. This is how we can quickly and easily get those pleats in there and get you the cool cape in an hour. All right, and we're going to replicate this one on this side too. And notice how I'm doing it right over the shoulder seam. This seam right here, so it's going to go right over the center of your shoulder, right there. So these pleats are going to go right over your shoulders where you want that. You want these pleats right there and right there. Yep, that looks pretty good. We're going to tack down, move this over just a wee bit. I'm going to tack down all those pleats. All those pleats. Done. Right like that. We're going to do that really quickly over on this side too. Thumb pleat. Here. Here. There are so many different ways that you can wear a cape. I had a friend come over and I inherited a large quantity of fur, hence we are doing fur capes, fur collar capes, and he was going to came over to get some fur because he wanted to make a cape for the Renaissance fair that was coming up because he had a full armor outfit and he just thought a fur collar cape would be so cool over the top of it. I think he was going to make his cape out of leather or something, which is really cool. Okay, now to do the other side, right here, with my finger, we're going to do opposites. There, right there. Feeling all those pleats, making sure they're aligning up, right like so, right like so. One more. How to do this without poking myself. Okay. Then, and if they don't align totally on each side, it won't really matter because because they're not going to be around each other. One is going to be on one side and one's going to be on the other. And this top part is going to be covered with your fur collar. All right. So you can see how it's nice and flat with our pleats in it on that side. It's nice and flat with our pleats on this side. But you can see that this is going to be the trickier side to work with. Right here, I'm going to trim these guys off. Oh, and I brought some with me. So I'm actually going to sew it on the velour side because I can monitor it a lot better from this side. I am just going to switch my threads here. The top thread will be good enough. Now the reason why I'm pulling it out of here, the thread, is because you don't want to pull it back through the machine, because you don't want to pull threads and, not threads, what is this stuff called? The lint. You don't want to pull lint back into your discs and things inside of here, because then it'll get all gunked up. All right, cross your fingers. Let's see if it'll thread the first time for me. Yes. Okay, take two. Try one more time. See if it'll try it the second time. Yes. Take two. Almost. It was so close. I'm feeling very confident that I can do it on the third try. Yes. All right. All right, little buddy. You're doing great. I really love the icons. They're really awesome. Alrighty then. We've got our automatic knot set up, so it'll start with a knot. I'm going to be monitoring these pleats right here. Make sure we're going to be going over them nicely. Look at how nice that is. These are going over really, really well. Can you see how it's going from like really thin stuff? This is really thick. We've got some amazing thicknesses right here, and it is just busting right through here. Now remember, we've got this 1, 2, 3 right here. This is our center seam, and we want to stop here, leave the gap, and start here again. So we're going to stop at this needle that we have marked right here. Yes. Don't run it over. I'm not really sure what I did with my pin cushion. All right, have it go out the back. Then we're going to reposition it right underneath here. Okay, we're going to keep on keeping on. We're so close to being done. All right, getting over those thick parts. I'm going to fuss my fabric a little bit. A little bit of fussing before is going to make some great results in the end. Right? Okay, keep on going, keep on going. I'm going to pull this little guy out because it's pulling up our fabric funny. It's going to lay nice and flat, right like that. All right. Okay. We're going to pull these all out. When I was making my last one for the mannequin last night, I forgot one of my pins and it poked me. So don't forget your pins while you're taking these out. Make sure you get them all out. That would be very unpleasant. You can trim these corners as well. Get some of the bulk out there. Some of the bulk out here. Just toss that. Okay, now we're going to dive down into these corners. All right, so I've got my corner here already, and I'm going to fold this down. My pointer finger is right here. It's all the way up inside. I'm not sure if you can see my nail. I'm holding it there. Then I'm also holding it on this side with my thumb. My finger and my thumb. I'm going to pull this out. And I'm going to push it with my thumb underneath. And voila, we've got a beautiful corner. We can fuss it a little bit and help it come all the way out. We'll finish it in a second. Where's my other corner? Okay. I'm going to grab those two the same way. Pull them out again. I'm going to flip, push through. And you can kind of jimmy rig those fibers into that perfect corner. Check that out. That's not even ironed yet. That's awesome. Yay. Okay. And now we're just going to keep pulling, pulling and pulling and pulling. This is almost like one of those little dolls that back in the day that were like little Miss Muffet on one side, and then it's the spider on the other. You kept pulling from the other side. Okay. Oh, this is very exciting. Almost there. This velour wants to really stick to each other. Or stick to itself, I should say. There we go. There we go. Pulling, pulling, pulling. Almost there. Awesome. Oh, look at that. It's almost done. Okay. I'm going to trim up some of these little guys here. I don't want these showing. I'm going to tuck those inside. So you've got this hole here, and you've got this hole here. And what I forgot at my desk is this double-sided bias tape. This is really awesome. And I love to put the little strip of bias tape on here and anchor this down first. Because you can't get needles or well, that really wants to roll like that. So you can't get needles, you can't get clips in here. So the best thing to do is to get some double-sided bias tape where you can either just tape it down. I'm thinking we might have some that I can just borrow off the wall. Let's go see if we've got them really quickly. We'll take you over to the iron. Look, we've got some right here. Carrie, do you want to follow me over here really quickly? Can we? I'm going to grab my scissors. We'll come over here. Turn that on. Got it over here. So this is a fusible web. You can use it with the little bias tape maker, but today we are just going to use it right here. It is so good for so many things. Where's my end? It is going to be right. You got to be smarter than the actual piece of tape, right? Get the tape off. They baby-proofed the tape. Haha. There we go. Oh boy. Ta-da! I got it undone. I'm going to do 2 little strips like that and like that. Let's set this aside. I'm going to iron a little strip on here on my fur. Backing. Right like that. And the idea with the fusible web is I didn't even have to, well, yeah, you want to let it dry, or not dry, but cool. Otherwise, it won't come off of its little paper backing. Now, there's a rough side. Can you see that rough side? It looks kind of scaly. And there's a smooth side. The rough side has got your glue on it. I'm going to put that right there. We are going to iron this little guy down as well. Right like that. Okay. Our fur does not like the heat. Okay, we peeled that off and it came off with it. I'm going to cool that down just a wee bit. And peel off our paper backing. Put that there. And our edge was about 1/2 inch or so is what we had been sewing with. And I'm going to fold that to about that 1/2. Right there. Now I know that this is mangling down my nap on my velour right here, but it is okay because, like I said, it is going to be underneath our fur, and nobody's going to see this part anyways. We're going to tack this down. That was a little extra right there, so we're going to sew that down so it makes it look like a little tuck. All right. We're going to cool that down a little bit. If you have a clapper, which is like one of those, it's a wooden little kind of long shaped thing, you can put that down over the top of it and it's going to help absorb any of the heat and moisture that is in your fabric. Okay, so we've tacked it down right like that. And now we're going to take it over to the sewing machine one last time. Over here. And all I have is my dark color on there. So I don't want my dark color on my machine. I'm going to change over to my lighter color. Actually, I'm going to change over to a yellow really quickly. Thank you for bearing with me while I change my thread in between. But I hope you can see how easy it is to change your thread in between and the importance of changing your thread. Okay, crossing fingers. Please thread the first time. Try number 1. Usually it threads the first time. Oh, we got it on the second try. Woohoo! Lucky day. I am going to change this one only because it's white thread and the back of our fabric is that navy blue. Once again, I'm holding the tail, dropping it in, threading it like so. And I put my little topper on there. Voila, thread has changed. Yellow on the top, blue, well, it's black on the bottom, but it matches this really dark blue. I know my underneath part is all tacked down underneath, so I don't have to worry about it coming undone. I'm going to pull back my fur as much as possible on that side and start about right here. And I'm going to use this line right here as my guide, this tiny line right here. And I folded my edge under, tucked it under right there. Feels like I've got an extra little tuck. So in the middle, where's my middle? Here's my very middle right here. I'm going to make an extra little thing to make up for any extra fabric that I have right in the center, so it makes it look like I did that on purpose, right? I'm going to use one of my long needles right like that as my little stiletto. I'm going to finish this up. And this is where my stitching from inside stopped, so I'm going to go about this much farther. And press stop. All right. And there we have perfectly encased your cape. All right. You can finish it how you like, but join me next time to see how you can make this closure on your cape and also add embellishments down the side of your cape as well. Have a great day, and we'll see you next Tuesday.